sweet friends. Today, Fuzz and I would love to teach you about a lesson where you can make a very simple koi fish. I'm going to be using some background paper from a previous lesson where I did some string pulling because I love the way that this paper looks. But if you want to just color your own background or do some wavy lines with blue, you can totally do that too. I'm just going to repurpose a piece of paper that I have already used for a lesson. Then you'll just need a white paper to draw on for your actual koi fish. I'll be drawing with Sharpie today, but of course you can start with pencil or a different tool, and then we'll be coloring with oil pastel and painting over the top with watercolor. But as always, if you only have crayons or something else at home, you can totally substitute any materials for something else. So we're going to start with our mantra today so we can be super strong and ready for our lesson. Together, here we go. My mantra: I am positive, I am creative, I am mindful, I am amazing, I am an artist. Okay, get your stuff ready for your koi fish lesson and let's get started. Boop. To show you how to draw your koi fish, I'm going to begin right with Sharpie so you can see it a little bit better on the video, but of course you can start with pencil if you'd like to have the ability to erase. Remember, of course it's okay if it looks different than mine, that is what makes it special. So we're going to take the Sharpie and make ourselves a big, huge teardrop. So I'm gonna come all the way up, kind of come to a little corner here. This is gonna be a big old koi fish. I'm gonna make kind of a teardrop shape. Then I'm gonna break it apart with a little bit of a T or an X. So I'm gonna come across and then down to the bottom there. And I'm gonna give my koi fish some big, huge eyes. So they're kind of like half circles in the top quadrants of my paper. Then I'm going to make those centers of the eyes a little bit more interesting. So another layer, and you can even do another one if you want to have more colorful eyes. So it could look like this, another circle on the inside, those concentric circles, and then color it in so you have just a highlight of white showing through of the paper and the rest is colored in black for the pupil. Remember that highlight always makes your creature or your person or whatever you're coloring, make them look a little bit more realistic. So I'm going to finish the highlight on this one. And then we can start adding things like the scales or the fins of our koi fish. So for this one, finish my coloring here. I'm going to do a scale or a fin actually that comes along the top, that dorsal fin. So it's going to come out with a line and then kind of give me a little wiggle down the back. And then I'm going to give my koi fish a few more lines coming down the side. So that's a little bit more helpful to kind of give the illusion that you have a fin along the top. Then there's lots of ways that you can do the fins. You can have fins coming out with lines like this. I'll show you on the back so that you can see the difference between the two. So if you have the body of your koi fish like this, you can do the fins out and a wiggle, whoop, and then lines like that. Or you can come out with one line and kind of come down, almost like a wing in some ways, and pick which one you'd like to do. So I think I'm gonna stick to the first one today that I showed you, but of course it is totally cool to experiment with what you want your koi fish fins to look like. So I've got these little lines coming out the side. I'm gonna make some more detailed lines in the middle. The last thing I need to do, besides the scales, is the tail of my koi fish. So I'm gonna come a little bit up on the bottom part here and do two lines coming out the side, just lightly rainbow lines, and then give my fish a little wiggle along the bottom here, and then a couple more lines to kind of follow the curve along the bottom. Now the last thing is of course going to be the scales, and the scales are like upside down rainbow lines or hill lines, and you can start from this line that you made up by the koi fish's head. Remember not to make your scales too tiny or it might take you a very long time to finish them. Then every time you start a new row, you're going to begin at the mountain or the valley, I guess, of the hill and connect to the other one. So I'm going to keep going until my scales are all completely done. Then to color, I'm going to be working with oil pastels and doing just a little bit of outlining first, just to make some areas kind of bold. And once I've made those areas bold, then I can go back in and do some watercolor on the top. So next, I'm going to take my oil pastels and do some coloring. Now, before you color, I'm going to ask you, what kinds of colors do you think I should use for my koi fish? Have you ever seen a koi fish? most of them are warm colors, like oranges, reds, yellows, sometimes whites or pinks. So I'm gonna stick to more of my warm, sunny colors for my koi fish. And to outline first, I might just do a little bit of detail and some lines, because I know when I paint over the top, it's going to resist so that I can still see the oil pastel and the watercolor at the same time. The next thing I'm going to do is paint over the top of my koi fish. And because I use something waxy like crayon or oil pastel, those two materials, watercolor and wax, are going to resist. So they pull apart from each other, which means I can still see both things. When you paint, you'll still want to stick with the warm colors, and you can go right over the top, still seeing your oil pastel, and now seeing that really bright, beautiful watercolor. So I'm going to finish watercoloring over the top of my koi fish. Now that my koi fish is dry, I'm going to cut around the outside to give it a nice crispy edge and glue it onto my background paper. You can also add any other finishing details, like sometimes we could add lily pads or little paper blossoms, or even things like water lines and motion lines. So even if I just use another marker over the top of what I already have here, all of a sudden my koi fish has jumped out of the water and has some extra little ripple lines. So you can add a few other details with any tools that you might have near you, and it'll be a fun way to fill your space while also practicing those lines and designs for your koi fish. This fun little koi fish lesson is an awesome way to practice making your art muscles and your drawing muscles super strong. So my friends, you can of course add any details that you would like to make your koi fish special to you. We're going to end with a little mindful meditation today, so I want you to practice getting your mind super strong, your body super strong, so you can be the very best version of you. So for this one, we're actually going to put both hands right over your chest, so you can kind of feel your heart beating and really know that you are alive. 2 deep breaths, eyes closed, focusing on how exciting it is to be alive and to be you. Buzz, are you going to join us? I think he might bird watch while we do our meditation. Here we go, 2 deep breaths. That's it. Calming yourself, making yourself feel strong and proud and ready to be amazing. Remember, my friends, you are amazing, you are strong, you are resilient, and I love you. We will see you next time.